town you never heard of. Hey everybody, welcome to the Common Folk Podcast with Ben, Morgan, and Andy.
Welcome back to Common Folk.
Let's go. The podcast for the people, by the people.
There it is.
The
two-man voices.
You got anything to say?
No. I'm just going to be quiet today.
All right, well, moving on.
Let's roll.
No, that's not going to happen. Sorry.
Yeah, imagine that.
What do you have in front of you?
What do I have? I have some notes. I was looking a few things up prior to this podcast for our topic today. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I was just looking out the window and thinking Joel found some morel mushrooms, just tiny guys. Have you guys gone at all?
Our family has gone on the
river.
Yeah, close to the river, Buccaneer Bay Lake, that area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And found a few. They're still little, but yeah, we did find a few.
That's ours were like the size of your thumb.
Yeah.
Like just a little cap on them.
Yep. So better than nothing, but it is the season.
I feel like we've talked about this before, but are morel mushrooms everywhere?
Yeah.
Okay. Every state.
It changes. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And like they're the really fun content creators and follows that you can like, they're in Florida, now they're in Georgia. And they you can just follow them up north.
Because of the weather base. So do you think there are some that are already picked in other states, done skis? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're like kind of on the tail end or we're in the middle?
I think we're in the middle.
Makes sense.
But I don't know that.
Okay.
But I think we are just because we're in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's what I feel like. But I feel like for random things, a lot of times the middle of the state always gets things last. Like trends. You know what I mean? Like we're last to know about some stuff.
But wouldn't that be weather-based? Like it gets warmer down south faster. So the further north you go, the longer winter and fall hangs on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's what's going on with this one.
Okay.
I think it was this winter I had seen, and I was kind of disappointed that someone has like figured out how to actually grow these. Have you seen that?
I feel like I remember you saying this.
We actually got this is a 20-year experiment going on now, and it has worked.
What?
So every time that Ashley cooks them, she takes the water and all the little pieces that she cuts off, like the root and, that have dirt all over it that you can't get out. She has a spot where she throws that pan of water, and last few years it has produced.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Oh, we need to start doing that.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I said that I had heard that people were figuring out how to grow these, and I was disappointed because this mushroom is like, it's one of those things in life that like you only get a certain time of year.
Right.
You have to go do work to get it. Mm-hmm. It forces you to get outside, go hike, spend some time in the woods, whatever. It's like just kind of a whole thing.
Yeah.
Where I feel like if they truly figure out how to grow these, and especially then it would one thing would lead to another, and it's going to be on an industrial scale, and then they're going to be available in the grocery store, and all this kind of, it's going to take all the shine off of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't go back and forth with that. I think more people should experience them and want them. I think what would happen is people would taste them and be like, oh my God, these are good. We got to get out and start hunting. But then you have the backlash of the purists. They're like, no, this is our spot to hunt. So you're going to have a relapse of all those things. So I think it'd kind of be like commercialized elk meat. Yeah, it's done. Yeah, there's venison farms and things, but it's not. There's not a big enough market for it. It's too expensive, and there's cheap, beef from Brazil or whatever filling that void. So I don't know. That would be interesting. I'd have to look more into that.
Yeah,
I would like to go down to the river where there is more morels, right? Don't they always say down by the water it's better?
Well, the river bottoms, typically around here are the best producing areas because they, they're the most, there's the most moisture in the soil. They stay wet longer, like those kinds of conditions that you would typically guess that a fungus would grow in.
Yeah.
So that exists more down there.
I just wish we found a spot that like every year we knew those bad boys were growing. Kind of like the river.
I used to think that was a thing, and I don't anymore.
Really?
Now that I get older. I don't know. What do you think? Like, because I feel like we had spots when we were younger, and really when I look back, they only lasted a couple of years.
Right.
And now you go back there and you're like, hey, when I was a kid, this was always the spot, but there's nothing there anymore. And now I'm finding them in different sections. And
well, it's part of the fun, the mystique of it all. And it does change, but there are areas that are going to produce every year.
Yeah.
And I think you guys on your ranch here, you guys have some spots that it might not be the exact same place by the exact same tree, but if you go and look real hard, there's going to be mushrooms there.
We should find somebody. I bet somebody listening either is or knows some morel expert.
Oh yeah,
we need to get somebody in and talk about that, because all the little things like you talk about, like, okay, they're normally around, like Andrew from the Forest Service. We had him on.
Yeah.
We were talking to him the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, they're specifically around this type of tree."
Yeah.
So you've got that. They're usually only on east-facing slopes.
Right.
There's like all these things about them.
Well, he probably knows then.
He
We can get him back.
I want to talk to him anyway. That was interesting walking around, looking at some woods, and we have an ash tree that is going down, and it has to be that
borer
worm or whatever that is, the emerald ash borer. Yeah.
Doesn't that spread?
Yeah, I think it already has kind of waved across Nebraska, and your ash trees are done.
Yeah.
You know.
You
Yeah.
know who's a big morel hunter is Corey Jones.
Saw that.
Yeah, he does it quite a bit.
Okay, I saw that picture, but I didn't
Yeah.
know that was like for real that he does that.
Yeah, he does it quite a bit.
Okay.
He knows them pretty well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it's that season, and those are fun. The only thing that sucks about that season, man, is ticks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I knew you were going to bring that up. This guy,
You attract them?
he's
Really?
like not scared of them, but he absolutely hates
I don't
them.
know if I necessarily attract. Like, I don't get them any more than anybody else gets them. But
No.
it's like if you go in the woods right now, you're pretty much guaranteed to come out with a tick.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
how long did you have that tick in your underwear? Do you think?
So we went
For real, this
Like
is
Stand
crazy.
By Me.
Yeah,
This is crazy.
we went mushroom hunting. What day was that?
I don't
it was
know, last
Thursday or
week, yeah.
something. Or no, it was earlier this week. It was like Monday.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, we just walked around the woods for probably 2 hours. Came out, didn't notice anything on me, whatever. We went hunting that night, did a bunch of stuff, and then got home to shower.
Cooked
It was like
the mushrooms.
yeah,
Like
it was like 9 or 10 o'clock. I'm getting in the shower, and there's a tiny little tick
Yeah, they're small right now.
crawling on my underwear. So I'm like, okay, this thing made its way up my jeans. It's been hanging out in my pants all afternoon.
Yeah.
Didn't dig in.
Lucky.
I mean, but crazy. Like
Yeah.
what? And like you said, when are they going to start digging in? Like at what point are they like, all right, I'm good to go. This is my spot.
Yeah.
Are they just crawling all over you till they find what?
The
A warm
perfect-
spot?
Yeah, I don't know, but there's a hell of a lot of them out there.
I don't like it.
And unfortunately, Ashley does attract them more than others.
Really?
So, like, when we went out turkey hunting, and thank you guys for letting us do that, she came out just, with a handful of ticks in very
Did she?
visible spots, and I couldn't find any, but I finally did. Like a day later, like you guys were
You
talking
did?
about. Yeah, he was dug into my gut. And
He had bit you?
yeah, and I was
Yeah.
just like itching.
Yep.
And then I'm like, oh, that's not a mole, that's a
Yep.
tick.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Oh no.
But they're real
That's
tiny.
just one of those things, man.
Yeah.
That'd be another person that I'd love to have on, is somebody who's some kind of expert on ticks.
Yeah, give me some spray.
I wanna-
What is it? Do I dip myself in vanilla extract?
I'll tell you who we need
That
back.
would be strange.
Well, no, they say that helps for mosquito repellent.
Ashley
really?
has some
Yeah.
kind of a paste that she puts on all her bites. I don't know what it is.
Well, I
but
don't
she's
want to
doing-
get bit. I'm trying to
Oh, a
spray me
preventative.
for like a preventative
Oh, okay, yeah.
that's not toxic.
I think we need more, what is it, like possums or something? Don't they eat the
Is
ticks?
that it? Really? I'm
'Cause
not
I
used
see
to it.
people like shoot, like they'll just shoot possums or whatever for no reason. I'm like, don't shoot the freaking possums, man. They eat the ticks.
Possums got a raw deal. They're so ugly. They look like big rats.
Yeah, and they
got
don't
a raw deal.
They don't ever do anything bad, do they?
They don't stink like a skunk. Like, what do they do? They're not badasses like tearing up your porch.
My biggest complaint with them was that they kept getting, when I was in high school, they kept getting in my raccoon traps. I was trapping for raccoons, and it would always be full of possums. Like, you
Oh.
assholes, get out
Get
of here.
outta here.
Yeah, because their furs aren't worth shit. That's another part there, the raw deal. Like, they
If
got
I
this
if I
stripe.
could like increase the population of possums, I would 100% do it.
I would think they would attack like pheasant nests, like eggs, but maybe that's more of a raccoon thing too. I don't know.
And around here, we obviously don't have to worry about that because we don't have any. But I would want, possums. If they're going to eat ticks, man, let them loose.
I would like to see Agent Blue back and talk about a tick conspiracy that I've heard rumblings of. I don't know a lot about it. Yeah, there's a huge government tick conspiracy where they like engineered. I don't know it. I'd have to hear it from Agent Blue.
Kind of like when they were saying all those birds that were sitting on the lines, the utility lines were fake.
Really?
You never heard that?
Yeah.
Like a few years ago, they're fake
They're like
birds.
cameras.
They're like camera birds. And they're flying around and then reporting back, but everyone thinks they look like birds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay.
I'll go to Hy-Vee, see if I can find him, and then I'll ask him if he knows anything about ticks.
Yeah,
it's funny that you say that because I've never heard that, but I've literally thought to myself, like, what if these ticks are like a planted government thing to like to distribute some kind of virus or something? Because like
very efficient.
Like we're not going to get into it obviously right now, but I do 100% feel that over the last few years, definitely since I was a kid, ticks have absolutely gotten worse. 100%. Like this year, we saw our first tick the first week of March. That's unheard of for us.
That is stupid.
And it was full size. It was a big tick.
So and there's different kind, like the Lone Star tick.
That's what I'm saying. And all these things keep popping up. And like, what would it mean for whoever to benefit from the fact that we can no longer eat red meat?
Yeah, that one that bites you.
That's the Lone Star one.
That's the one that he's freaked out about.
Yeah, well.
And I'm pretty sure they've spotted them around here.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know a lot about it.
Yeah.
Ashley posed a question after we were trying to check for ticks after turkey hunting. We gave our dog a treatment, and ticks just fall off him like crazy because they bite him and then they fall off dead.
Yep.
It's like, but then why don't we do that for humans?
Yeah.
Is that like what's going on there? Like, why do we protect our pets? Like, is our blood are we not strong enough?
Right.
And if we're not, why not? We are just mammals. We are just animals.
Or what's really going on? Like, are we actually just hurting our animals and we don't, we as the consumer don't know it.
Right.
Because we're giving them a pill.
We're just pounding them full of this crap that is toxic to ticks, but it's not to them.
Yeah. Did I just take 7 years off my dog's life? And do I do that every year by giving them this tick medication? And it's like, well, the breeders need to sell new puppies. Like, get on board. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's just interesting.
It is.
Freaking ticks, man. I hate them.
We are really good at snowballing here.
So I've got a topic that I want to talk about.
What is it?
Are you ready?
It's not ticks. It's not.
No. I've got this list of that I keep in my phone when I think of something that I think would be interesting for a podcast, and then I like marinate on it for months.
Mm-hmm. You are such a marinator.
And then I'll go back to it and I'll think about it and whatever. But so this particular one, what I want to talk about is, and I think it applies to females too, but mostly males in society, and these labels that we put on them of like alpha or beta or whatever that may be.
Okay.
And I want to talk about what you guys think about that, what those definitions are. Why is that even allowed with the whole woke culture?
Yeah.
You know, like you can't call somebody something. You can't call somebody anything, but we're okay with saying, well, that dude's an alpha, that dude's a beta. You know what I mean? So like there's this whole thing around this. And then also I've heard about these different like subcategories of this that I never realized existed. Like I always just grew up thinking you're an alpha or you're a beta. Which one are you?
You grew up thinking that.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm sitting here thinking, what is the definition of alpha? And then what is the definition of beta? I've heard alpha. Oh, you got like alpha males, whatever. What's the two main ones? So then people know, because I'm not exactly sure what beta is.
Yeah. So if you just quick Google search it.
Yeah.
And also, side story, when you're Google searching anything anymore, the first thing you get is an AI overview. Have you noticed that lately?
Yeah, Gemini. They're really pushing Gemini right now.
Is that good?
I mean, for the most part, it seems like everything that I've searched, it seems like it's great information. It's quick, it's easy, it's right there. But, and it's obviously pulling from other places. But anyway, so let's see here. Alpha male. It's used to describe a man perceived as dominant, assertive, and successful. So that's kind of the gist of it. It goes on to say someone who takes charge, competitive, maybe seen as controlling, There's kind of like some negatives that get kind of slapped on it because of that. But
Sure.
it says it's derived from animal behavior studies, particularly observations of social structures in wolves. The alpha is the top-ranking male, the leader of the pack.
Yeah.
So that's, if you just think about it, just writing a note down here.
You'd rather strive to be, like, you would want to aspire to be the alpha, right? The leader, the lead dog, the big dog.
Yeah, if you sit there and you work off these definitions and you're a young dude, like that's obviously the one you want to be.
Yeah.
I mean, so let's
So read beta. So what is that, like a weak man?
Yeah, I'll read it here.
Okay, well, I'm just wondering, alpha comes off to me as like a workout dude.
Yeah.
Like a rah, the
Yeah, see, so
There's a lot of marketing.
yeah,
Yes,
and everyone
yeah.
kind of has their own spin on that. So beta, it says a subordinate male. Basically, that's the best way to explain it.
okay.
So when I think of alpha, I think of wolves, and you touched on that. And
Yep.
when I think of beta, I think of a beehive and all those bees working together to just serve the queen and get this thing together. That's when I'm talking animals, and
Sure.
that's where my mind goes.
Okay.
So this goes on to say a man tending to assume a passive or subservient role in social or professional situations, and then they put it like in a sentence. There's nothing macho about him. He's a total beta male.
They make that beta sound like a little bitch. Mm-hmm. Like you're a little bitch boy.
See, and so exactly what you said right there. That's what I'm saying. So when you're growing up,
Yeah.
and you're hearing these kinds of things, you're like, no, I'm not a beta.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a beta. They need to see me as an
No.
alpha. So then, like, there's so many directions to go with this. Like, has that dichotomy influenced behavior of our younger males in society? Just knowing that people are sitting around saying that, like, which one you are, and thinking that about you.
I hope it's helping the younger generation. I think you're seeing it with Gen Z or whatever this group is coming up. The contradiction and how it's all bullshit. So you're supposed to be an alpha, but then you're supposed to go get an office job. What's more beta than that?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to marginalize that either. Like, we need men that are willing to serve. Like, period. Like,
Yeah.
the most macho thing on the planet was thought of going to World War II, defending your country, and freeing, people from Nazi Germany. Mm-hmm. That was nothing but thousands and thousands and thousands of beta males that we called heroes. They were 99% of those men were betas by your definition. Mm-hmm. They were subservient. They listened. They didn't ask questions, and they went and got the job done.
Yeah.
Much like my worker bees. I love worker bees, but you don't get more beta than that. And the biggest contradiction to me, and it I can tailspin into like racism and stuff like that, where we're told that we're all equal and everybody's the same and blah, blah, blah. But then we have to like you're saying, we have to slap these labels on it.
Yeah.
What a bullshit contradiction.
Yeah.
You're trying to tell me that we're all the same, but you're going to call me a beta? And then this fucking Gemini AI source is going to tell me I'm a bitch?
Yeah.
Get out of here with that. So,
And
I don't know.
And it's putting those people in those corners.
Yeah. You're totally putting them in a box.
I just kind of kept looking up some more definition type information. I think this is kind of funny. This is some website apparently about dating. And it says, should I be dating a beta male?
Oh, God. Okay, let's hear it.
It says, they're sweet, kind, loyal. The list goes on. Let's see here.
That's what they want.
So you're dating a guy who goes with the flow for everything. He's always cool with your restaurant, movie, vacation choices. He listens. He's loyal. You lead. He follows. Sounds familiar? Then you're dating a beta male.
Ooh, you got that? You feel that beta energy there?
I can feel it. I don't know that I agree with that. I guess I think of back in the day, and isn't it like the Bible that says that the male should lead? The male is the leader, the strong, you follow the male. But is that then also controversial, I'm sure?
So that's where it kind of bleeds over to me, because a good man or a good male, a good leader serves. He's just,
Yeah.
so like there's this place where you can't just, that's the danger of these damn labels. You can't just put a person, a good man, we'll say, in a box and say he's either beta or he's alpha.
So is there a blend between these two?
Yeah. Give me another label I can call
There has
somebody.
to be somebody in the middle.
That's what I have written down is that, like, so as a guy, as a male, can you be both, but at different times? Like, it depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because, like, I feel like I've been taught or exposed to, and that's how I was taught, that you're either alpha or you're beta.
Right.
And that's how you are.
Yep. That's all there is to it.
But as I've gotten older and I look at it, to me, what I think is, like, you're alpha in certain situations and you're beta in certain situations. Mm-hmm. And the ability to navigate that and apply the proper mentality is the best course of action. Because you look at, like, you know, we're told how great alpha is and how cool, and they're strong and they're leaders and they're successful and they make all the money and they're the badass. Like, look at that guy. He's the alpha, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then that same mentality in so bad, actually.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to process it and grapple it. And it goes something like, a man without a family after a certain amount of time is nothing more than dangerous. And it, you know, it's like, yeah, then what are you doing? Who are you serving? What are you out there trying to accomplish? You know what I mean?
That is interesting.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of, I just heard it.
Say it again.
A man without a family after a certain point in time is dangerous, is nothing more than dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, it brings a level of danger. And if I felt, and I haven't really delved into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't know, are you saying dangerous how? Like, there's good dangers too, you know, but I don't know. So yeah, I'm still kind of, you just kind of sparked that for me. I was thinking of that. But no, I'll go back to the label thing where it's not good to slap these boxes on people. You know, just a blanket type of thing. And I think that's why you're starting to see more terms. Hey, maybe more letters added to a way we describe people. Where does that come from? LGBTQ, A, B, D, F, K, L. You know, it's like after a certain point in time, you can't handle the hypocrisy, you know, the contradictions that come with all this. You know?
just this quick search definitely pulls up a couple others, Gamma and Delta. And I mean, like, come on. Like, is this a fraternity or a sorority?
What, the Sigma?
A Gamma says you're adventurous, eager, and aware. Okay. So now we're just putting all these labels on. Again, back to your point, Ben, I do believe that is really good. I feel that you should be able to be one of all at different times.
Yeah.
And is this just apply to men, or is this just a guy thing?
No, girls are bosses too. In fact, you guys are astronauts. You know, you guys are astronauts now. So those was a group of alpha women that went to space. You know, in a man's rocket, paid for by a man, driven by men. Remote. But anyway, yes, you guys. That was a bunch of alpha males. What was that Disney movie? The Woman King. You know. That's like the poster. There's an actual movie poster showing you the hypocrisy of how stupid it is. Like, no, women are queens.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I think that definitely originally it didn't have anything to do with women.
Okay.
It was describing men in society and men's roles and whatever natural role they gravitate to. But I think, like anything else, it's gotten to where it's like what you just said, no, women are bosses too.
Yep.
Like, okay, yes, you can apply that same type of thinking to personality types for women. I mean, seems to make sense.
Yeah. So, you know, my wife's a biologist and all this other stuff, and so we're always watching nature shows, and I get into that stuff too, but Ozzy really gets into it right now, you know, so it's kind of fun. But I think that alpha wolf, like in his pack, when they're on the move, he's bringing up the rear. He is the last one.
I've got that on my notes.
Okay. And so how's that not serving your pack. You are being the most beta motherfucker there is. You're not the first one to the show. You're not, leading the charge. You're actually bringing up the rear, taking care of everybody.
And that we can get into that because that's kind of what I had down here as like the kind of the next chapter of this conversation is that, and the misinterpretation of the alpha role. So from what I've heard, that was discovered fairly recently. It was always understood that the alpha wolf is out in front of the pack, is leading the pack, is leading the
Kicking
charge,
ass.
is taking them into, wherever they're going.
He's got an AK-47 over each shoulder.
Right. But what they have discovered is that exactly what you said, that the alpha wolf is actually the one in the back. He's bringing up the back. He's watching the pack. He's taking care of the pack. Obviously, they still have to have some kind of strength up front.
Yeah.
But in the back, he's making sure they're not getting ambushed. They're everyone's okay. No one's getting left behind. All those kinds of things. So it kind of starts bringing different terms to that definition. And then it really makes you rethink what we've been told all these years of what an alpha male is.
Right.
And what should an alpha male be? Because to me, like, that is way more noble of a position.
Exactly.
Than what we've been taught. That is so cool.
Going to war, getting in a U-boat, knowing that that's going to that hatch is going to come open and there's going to be bullets flying at you, and you're just doing it because you know it's the right thing to do, and you're just this little, call it a pawn in this whole grand scheme, this World War II, right? That's the most noble thing ever. And that, to me, that is super freaking alpha by some of the definitions that we're slapping on that.
Also makes me wonder, like, when you bring up that kind of picture and you think about wolves and stuff, like, I guess there's the potential that the front of the pack gets attacked first when you come walking into something. So is that like a move to almost protect the alpha, to put him in the back, where at the same time the alpha is protecting the pack, but
like the old gangsters let the wife start the car?
Yeah. So
nice.
The pawns, like you said, are the ones that give their lives, but in that hierarchy, is it like we can more, as a group, we can more afford to lose the pawns than to lose our leader?
Sure.
So does that...
Yeah.
I mean,
gosh, that's deep.
And also, I think like when they do get a kill, like the males get the first share, they're ripping it up, eating all the good stuff, and then it goes down the line, ending with the pup. So if you take a step back from that, well, I need these muscle-bound, crazy-ass alphas to eat that really good meat. They need to eat first because they're the protectors. They're the ones searching. They're the ones doing the killing. Of course, they should eat first, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like. And then you have some animals that people glamour over and like, oh, they let the children eat first. Yeah, well, they're targets too. You know what I mean? Like, you can go all over the map with this type of thing, which goes back to why you can't just put an animal even into a box like that. It's way more complex than just one term.
Yeah.
One word can give it.
So when you were talking, and you've said this a few times, well, what I was taught, like you literally were taught when you were younger as men. Like your dad sat you down and you're like,
no,
hey,
no,
alpha.
Not at all.
So then where did you get this picture of alpha? Where did you get it?
This is what society teaches us. And this is what I'm talking about with this whole topic is what society has taught us as men of what does alpha mean, what does beta mean, and what space do you fall in? Like there's just this expectation out there. And this goes back to even a bigger conversation where, we talk about, how people are like marginalized and like, they talk about women like, women are just treated so unfair. Like we have to look good all the time. We have to make sure we're fit. We have to make sure, we're acting this way and that way and wearing these clothes and talking like this and walking like this and blah, blah, blah. Look, I get it. Like, I understand that that's a real thing.
Yeah.
But don't act like that's not happening to everybody.
Yeah.
It is happening to everybody.
Of course it is.
Like it happens with boys and men as well.
Of course.
There is a description or a depiction of what is the best out there, and it is put on you, no matter if you want it or not. And that's what I'm talking about with that. It's like we are exposed to and we are taught.
Yeah.
This is what an alpha is. This is what a beta is.
Mm-hmm.
You better pick which one you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I mean, even this conversation's putting pressure on young men. Like, you need to be a leader, but you also need to bring up the rear. Mm-hmm. You know, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You're putting a lot on somebody.
Well, and I feel like I've always said this to my friends. People are like, oh, boys are so much easier to raise. Okay. I don't know if I agree necessarily with that because
you'd be good at this.
The layer that is added, I feel like, to a boy or a male, there's so much. Like, we want them to be strong and our protectors and all these things, but yet I also want you to be kind of gentle, and I want you to be passionate, and I want you to show love, and a tear here or there would be great, rather than you just not crying ever. But oh wait, don't cry, because there's so much conflicting bullshit to put on a man.
Yeah,
I'm just seeing it because our son's 14. It's like, I would like him to do this, but I want him to be like this, but do this, and a girl is just, I don't know, go be a girl.
Yeah.
I don't know, that sounds so bad.
Well, and have fun.
And I am a girl, but go have fun. And it would be nice
charming.
if you look
Shut the
pretty and do some things. But I don't know. I'm probably going to get backlash for this, but I just feel like there's a lot of pressure that I feel like on our son. And I didn't know that.
Also, it's
from
handled differently. You know, males handle it differently than females, where a male is more likely going to just internalize that, not really talk about it, just think about what they're seeing.
Yeah.
Not make it super public or whatever, you know what I mean? Not be running around crying about it or anything like that. Where on the female side of things, they're just more prone to talk about it and to come out with it, and this is bothering me, or this isn't fair, or whatever, right? So then that's going to get more exposure because of that. So then naturally people are thinking, well, women, are just have it so hard. What's because they talk about it more?
Yeah,
bring it up.
Yeah, where the men don't, we know what we're up against, but for the most part, we're not talking about it like we are here today.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it would be bad to talk about it. No, but then there's a line. I don't want you to act like a girl and talk about it too much. But
yeah, that's where I fall.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
When the two girls are fighting, I'll step in and break it up, and hey, don't hit your little sister. But when my son is getting, beat up or hit on, I'm like, figure it out, hit back.
Yeah.
Good God, she's just a girl, could you imagine saying that to another girl? She's just a girl, hit her back. You know what I mean? I don't know, that's putting a lot on a young man, right? Figure it out, be, like you're saying, be compassionate, hear her out, but stand up for yourself. You know, what the
and also when you think about it, actually it would be kind of easy. So if just straight up alpha and just straight up beta was a thing, and we had to pick which one, or we naturally gravitated to one or the other, and then we just had to fill that definition, that would actually be a lot easier.
Sure.
Okay, if I decided, at 15 that, yep, I'm an alpha, so I'm just going to run around, I'm going to be a badass, I'm going to work out a lot, I'm going to tell you like it is.
Kind of be a dick.
I'm not going to listen to anybody.
Yep.
I'm going to lead the way. You can either follow me or you can stay behind. You get left behind. I can have that attitude, and that's how I'm going to run my life. I don't have to worry about anything else.
Just do your shit.
That sounds pretty easy.
Yeah.
Or I could decide to be a beta and be like, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm by the definition. I don't really need to put in any effort. I just need to go along with what everyone says.
Go with the flow.
Yep, everything's just going to be fine. I might make some money, I might not. I might have some success, I might not. But if I do, it's just because it happened. I'm just going to cruise along.
That's the biggest contradiction, and I think a lie being sold to young women nowadays is that you want a beta because they won't fuck with you. They'll take you to the movies. They'll take you to the movie you want to see. Mm-hmm. But no, you don't want that. It gets to a point where you want a man to stand up for himself, have a goal, have some drive, have some gumption, and that's why women are attracted to bad boys, right? Men on motorcycles and shit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Betas aren't on a motorcycle tearing up the place.
But and that's what I'm getting at is this is what happens if we're talking about relationships or whatever. That kind of thing might be the initial attraction. Mm-hmm. But that gets old real quick. I guarantee it. You know,
Yeah,
and
that's not attractive to me.
You could speak from a woman's
What,
standpoint.
being on a motorcycle?
No, just
Or agreeing all the time?
no, an alpha like badass. Like
and I'm saying either one.
Yeah.
And that's my point where I said this would be so easy if all we had to do was just be one or the other. This would be way easier for us. We don't have to think about all of the other things that are going on.
Yeah.
But the point is that like in a relationship, let's say you've got this hyper alpha dude that's doing all this crazy shit and tough, and you know it gets the girl excited.
Rock climb with no ropes.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I just love this. You know, I want to be with this guy. Whatever." I promise you, that lasts about 6 months.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "God damn it, this guy's such an ass. Like he never does anything for me. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't treat me nicely. It's always about him. You know, whatever. Right? Like it's gonna go away.
Yeah.
So my point is that it's way harder than this. We as men have to figure out how to have this balance of these two.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm thinking of things like, yeah, I would like you to be a little more like beta in certain situations, like, oh, we're at a track meet, and I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot my jacket. And you'd be like, okay, honey, I'll go get it for you. That doesn't happen. Like, he's not being a dick, but I can fucking go walk to the car just as easy as him. It's my shit. Like, I would just go and go get it. But I've seen other people be like, oh, and their husbands are like, okay, baby, I'll go get it for you. That doesn't happen here.
Like what a pussy. Jesus Christ.
But no, I mean, you know what I mean? But he does things the other way. You know, I'm just thinking about it. Like,
right. Yeah.
Yes, you guys men walk this
weird tight line.
Yes.
So,
and maybe it's also different per your male or your female.
Well, I think so.
Don't you think? Yeah. Like, and what maybe they've expressed that they want from you or what they don't?
Something that worries me is, and I think when we even joked about it before we went live, the depiction of some of these Instagram girls.
Okay.
And you know, my daughters wanting to live up to some of that and not think that they're pretty, not think that they're beautiful. And you guys have probably been through that 100 times, right? Mm-hmm. But I think with how goofy it's gotten, we're talking about Jeff Bezos' girlfriend and how she looks like I don't know what she looks like, but
fake.
There you go. But it's not attractive to me.
Yeah.
And I just want my daughters to know that they are beautiful regardless.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have to look like Jeff Bezos' girlfriend at all. In fact, I think the majority of people would not find that attractive.
Right.
It's a sideshow. It's a goof.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's weird. It's a spoof that you don't need to aspire to be like. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I, as far as living up to standards, that's what really worries me about girls and
I
women.
agree.
You know, and it's not even attainable. Like, she has a fake ass, fake tits, fake face, and probably fake hair. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know, like it's not a good way to live, is it? You know, just
I mean, I guess I'm
add-ons.
also in the camp of you do you if that makes you feel good.
Oh, I'm on board with that. Like fixing your teeth, even maybe getting a fake set of tits. You know, if you don't have tits that you like, go get them. Right?
Like if it makes you feel better, but at what point is enough?
Right.
Enough?
Yeah.
And I think that's just the struggle that person is going to have to deal with. But again, when they're in the spotlight and little girls are seeing different things, there is that for girls. But yeah, I don't know.
You're promoting freedom there, and I like that. And Ben kind of sounded like Joseph Stalin, where he's like, "Well, you're a alpha and you're a beta, and that's I'll tell you what you are." And there's your marching orders.
I just never thought about it though like that till you said that. If a guy could fit into one category, you guys would have it way easier. But there's probably some women listening too. Like if we just fit one category.
For sure. It goes. That's kind of part of the point of this is that this isn't one-sided as far as male versus female. Like males and females go through the same thing.
Sure.
We just definitely hear more about it on the female side. But yeah, it goes back to this, you know, putting people in these boxes and these labels. Yeah. And we mentioned this in the beginning. I'm very surprised that we're even able to use these terms anymore. Like I cannot
You think they're
believe
derogatory?
I can't believe
why?
someone hasn't made them that way. That like they haven't that woke culture hasn't grabbed these terms and been like,
that is the basis of woke culture, though, is putting people in boxes and talking about
it.
Like,
right.
That is the crux of all of it, and it's talked about on the news. It's brought up all the time. Marginalized people.
Yeah.
Like if we just allow people to live their lives and not put a label on them, well, what the hell? That's too easy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I think it's a big part of a pond, and I mentioned it earlier, where I think this younger generation is fed up with it to a certain point and is becoming aware of it. Like, no, I'm not beta, I'm not alpha, but I'll listen to these dumbasses talk about it on TikTok because it's hilarious. Look at these idiots.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there's an awakening happening, and I'm welcoming it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I've only seen it once and I didn't really even watch it that close, but wasn't that Barbie movie kind of about this?
Right, yeah.
Did you watch that?
We did. And it was good for a laugh.
You think? Oh, yeah, because they had like.
Margot Robbie, I'll watch Margot Robbie.
No, I'm talking about the guy, because he was kind of buff and he came in.
But I mean, that was kind of what they were displaying, wasn't it? Like they're living in the Barbie world, and she's this stereotypical
woman,
girl, woman, and she has to look this way and she has to act this way. But in that world, Ken was like
he was beta.
He was beta, right?
He's totally beta.
And as soon as he got out into the real world, he's like,
he was
oh shit,
yeah.
Being alpha's awesome.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and he's like not the nicest guy.
That was awesome.
I mean, that was a pretty good depiction
true.
of that dichotomy.
Who is the guy? He's pretty funny. Gosling.
Yes.
He played it pretty well. And if for no other reason, I thought it was funny that it did just put a spotlight on it.
Yeah.
You know, so I thought that was a good thing from that movie, and it was funny.
Yeah, that's how I saw that movie, was like that alpha and beta dichotomy, even with the males and the females both. But it was so weird because so many people came out like,
this is woke propaganda.
But what I was hearing was that this is a girl power movie, like it's like this woman movement of like, see, women don't have to fit into these molds. They don't have to be like this. They can go do whatever they want, you know, blah blah. And I was kind of seeing that, but on the other side, I was really more seeing like, actually, this is the whole story about the men and the women.
Oh, how funny it was when all the men picked up guitars and started singing, I want to push you around. I want to take you for granted. Like, that was so goddamn funny. and the whole damn thing came crashing down as soon as the men stopped being servants.
Yes.
You know, and then women were like, well, this is screwed up. Barbie Land's trashed if Ken's not being Ken. And tell me you didn't feel a little sorry for Ken at the beginning, where it's like, Ken's whole day is wrecked if Barbie doesn't pay attention to him. Like, that's just a shitty way to live your life.
See, that's the shit I'm talking about, is like they portray that, but that's real.
I know it's real.
Yeah.
You take a 15-year-old boy or whatever, he's living that life.
He's trying to get noticed. He wants Barbie to notice him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're in the creators of that obviously are addressing that, but I feel like so many people didn't
Pick
grab
that up.
that from that movie.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I'm like, oh shit. I remember like when I was in school, and the girls were attracted to the guys that were taller, more muscular, and faster. Like, fuck this. Yeah.
And,
I had to deal with that.
And like you said, if she didn't notice you, or you do something that doesn't seem to be working, and it's like
tell me how bad you felt for Ken when he's like, I thought Barbie, I could stay over and we could watch a movie together. And she's like, nope, it's girls' night. Again? Yep, it's girls' night. And she just sent him home, and he was just crushed.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's like, to me, it's kind of funny. It's like turkey hunting. Like, I'm sitting down there. In the blind, and obviously this is different. We're trying to get toms in or whatever, but same kind of thing. Like, I'm sitting there calling, and they're coming, but then for some reason they turn around and walk away.
Yep.
Don't want anything to do with me, and I'm like, what did I do wrong, man?
Yeah.
Like, I must have just did the call just wrong. Or I
Right.
must have did too many, or I must have did it at the wrong time, or maybe I moved too much, or what? Like, you're thinking about that, right?
I got the hot hen that's laying, like, she's ready to go. How do you not like that?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to take that in a whole different direction, where I think turkey hunting is such a perfect depiction of young men out there, where they're peacocking, they're showing their tail feathers, they're doing a little strut, they're actually strutting around, where the term came from, just to get a little attention from the hens, and these hens are just pecking around, going after this, that, not paying attention to these boys 99% of the time. Like I kind of feel sorry for the toms, like doing all this work, strutting around all day, every day for like 3 months straight.
Yeah, but these girls were like, I don't really want to get laid.
Exactly. I just feel bad for the boys.
I've seen in our woods down here, I see these big toms walking around or hear them.
Yeah.
And they're on the prowl. They're out by themselves. And then I don't know if this is normal habit. I don't remember seeing this in the past, but you would know. But I'm seeing like groups of jakes.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like 3, 4, 5 of them at a time, all together, just walking around, prowling the streets. And I'm thinking to myself, this is an interesting like social behavior of these animals. Yeah. Like these jakes are walking around like in teams, but they're all looking for the same thing.
Yeah,
and it kind of reminds me of being like a younger guy.
It's like going to the bar.
Yeah, like we're gonna have strength in numbers. Like we're all gonna go together, and then there's gonna be this one girl that everybody's interested in. That's weird, and then it makes it weird.
Get her?
No, they're a social animal. They're a social bird, and what's happened there, and this is why it's going on. They were part of the flock until spring, and that's breeding season, and the toms are like, you boys get the fuck out of here.
Get out of here.
And that's why you're seeing groups of jakes.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're talking about alpha beta, that's a huge part of turkey hunting, and we got our asses kicked by a beta tom last time we went out, because the alpha tom, he's the first one there, he's strutting, he's making a lot of noise. Then you have, if he's cool with it, he'll let a couple beta toms follow him around, but they don't make any noise, and they kind of sneak around. Ashley and I were set up. I'm doing the calling. She's got the shotgun ready to go. And, of course, this beta tom doesn't make any noise and slips in behind us, doesn't come in towards and that's another thing a tom does.
So you were looking the other way.
Yeah, and that's another thing that the alpha toms do. They see where the decoys are facing, and they meet them face on usually, especially if you have like a jake out there. He doesn't like that, so he's gonna make sure that jake and that hen decoy see him coming, so he can strut, do his thing. These damn beta toms who are actually out running around looking, listening to these calls because they got kicked out. Right? You don't get to hang out with the real ladies. They come in from the other side or from behind the decoys, and your head's got to be on a swivel. We hadn't been out in years, making excuses, but that beta tom slipped in, looked around, and before we could swing the shotgun over and get a shot, he was out of there. Just so beta.
So then
what a bitch.
Then it makes you wonder, like, so then is the alpha mentality actually hazardous to your health?
Of course it is.
Oh
right?
My
Evel
gosh.
Knievel, that's a bad thing to do for your health. The most picturesque, alpha out there.
Right.
So,
well, if you're referring to, so people know, there was a camera, the barn owl camera that you got, the picture, right, of the bird you missed. That's how you know?
No, we were hunting.
But you actually saw it then walk away.
Yeah. He slipped in.
Because you sent us a picture, and so I thought maybe you realized it afterwards that this was the time you were there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're those barn owl cameras, and they're not just security cameras. And for us, what we're doing right now is kind of pattern out wild game. So I kind of had an idea of when the action would be there.
I got you. Okay.
And no, we were sitting there. We're all focused on our decoys and listening to where they're going to come. And a beta who obviously got kicked out of his flock because the tom's like, no, I got these ladies. They're mine. He was out cruising, doing his thing, and he did a typical beta tom turkey thing, and he didn't make any noise, didn't let us know he was coming, didn't strut, didn't fan out, and just slipped in right behind us, looked around, and then got out of there with his head down. Like,
okay.
You bitch.
Do you think, like, in the turkey world, so you got these alpha turkeys, these alpha toms, right? And they're the big show. Everybody sees it. They're like, man, that dude's got 10 chicks that he's running around with.
Yeah.
Or 10 ladies, I guess. In birds, we shouldn't call them chicks.
Smart, funny, intelligent women.
Boss
ladies.
Boss ladies.
There we go, yeah.
Boss bitches.
So he's got all the things, right? But then the beta tom is bringing up the back. He's sneaking around a little bit. He's staying alive. He's probably peeling a few of those girls off here and there.
Yes, he is. Yeah,
he's getting his.
He is.
He's having a great time.
He is,
but he's not the show.
No,
and also his life isn't as much at risk.
Nope, it's not at all. Yeah, the coyotes aren't after him as much. I'm not after him as much.
Yeah.
So we just released another turkey hunting episode with a contestant on American Idol. Slater.
I saw that online.
He is awesome, but his hunt, really showcases what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So this Tom comes in, Garrett's calling, and he's strutting. He's showing his tail feathers, putting on a show, just beautiful, early morning. He gets blasted. Like you're saying, that's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing to be seen. Most animals in the wild don't want to be seen.
Yeah.
But when breeding season comes around, whether you're a whitetail buck or whatever, no, it's your job to be seen and be out there. Yeah. Well, otherwise it's the end of the species.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, spoiler alert, Slater, congratulations, gets his turkey. And then there's 2 Jakes that were slinking in behind him. They run up and beat the shit out of this bird that just got shot. And they start calling. It's like, oh, those little punks, those freaking punks.
So they had stepped up that quickly.
Yeah, they were they're in the back, in the peripheral, letting him do his thing.
Yep.
And then as soon as he got blasted and he was flopping around, they run up and they stomp on him.
They see him go down. They see the weakness. They see the opportunity to step up to the front of the pack.
Yeah.
So
and they're like, "Oh, screw you, punk!"
Got you now.
He had probably been talking shit to them their whole lives.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, motherfucker, you're down now. Now it's on." And they're just letting him have it.
Yep.
So does that mean then one of those Jakes are a Tom? Or is
No.
that just means you have to be older to be a Tom?
That's the Jakes are only a year old and they got that short little beard. There's only a couple inches kind of protruding out of their chest.
But one of those guys would eventually step up to be...
If he survives winter, he will have a 4 to a 9-inch beard the following year, and he will ascend to be a Tom.
And if the big dog goes down.
Yep, exactly. So
that would be interesting to know what they were thinking. Like,
oh,
hey,
well,
motherfucker.
That's exactly what they're thinking. You don't have to. They're on the edge, just keeping their space because they know it was his time. And these 2 hens, they look ready to go, and they're making that noise that we like. Yeah. And so they kept their distance until he went down, and then they come running in and they're stomping on him.
You know what? That's another thing about that alpha mentality. Like it builds a lot of animosity with everybody else.
Sure it does.
Because a lot of other people, especially the other males, are like, this asshole, look at this guy, man. Like, he's doing this, he's doing... It doesn't actually, in many cases, it doesn't actually make you want to follow them or be like they are. It actually builds animosity towards it, and that's evident right there in that in the animal kingdom.
Exactly.
But that doesn't happen in war. Someone goes down and we're stomping on our
No,
brothers.
that's TMZ. When a famous guy goes down, we all kind of get a kick out of it and we like it. But whether you want to admit it or not, you like seeing, or like even Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately for him, quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, he's so freaking good. There's already this undercurrent of people wanting to see him fail. Yeah. And you can see it on social media pretty clearly.
And because you mentioned war, like for me personally, I feel like war and military, that's a little bit different. Like those are actual defined roles that you are expected to follow, that you need to follow for everything to work properly. It's not like necessarily a natural
Steven Spielberg has done a lot to kind of hurt the military perspective. You know what I mean? Because even like Star Wars, you need stormtroopers, and they're kind of made fun of. Not everybody can be a rebel. You know what I mean? And lead the resistance. One more thing with that, with the turkey analogy and everything. Not everybody wants to be the alpha, and you're the first to take bullets. You're also where all the eyeballs go. So there's those Jakes that were following him and the younger Toms. There's that animosity, but there's also that longing to be that admiration where I want to be that Tom, though. You know what I mean? And I was thinking about this where I was at a trade show and one of our colleagues had taken up bodybuilding. And we're all wearing our suits and ties, and we just look like guys. But this dude was like 5'8" and 278 pounds. I mean, he looked so ridiculous. He looked like he looked like Bane from Batman, And so we're working the floor, we're doing our thing, and he had to run off, and he comes back with all these raw eggs, and he's just scooping these eggs because he had to eat so much protein. I'm like, there's a level of me, I'm like, that's pathetic. But he had to get whatever 8,000 calories in good protein in a day, otherwise he would lose his muscle mass. So it's like, man, of course you look great, and that'd be awesome to be that strong. And we're all talking about you, we're all looking at you strut around, but like, I don't know. So I was like grappling with that, like a Jake Turkey. Like, man, I admire you, but I don't know. Yeah,
I don't really want to be you.
You go ahead and be the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, but it goes back to I feel like our theory here is you can't just put a guy or a woman in a box. One label. No, it doesn't cover it all.
I get a couple other things that we'll kind of close it out on, but one thing I wanted to touch on again on this alpha thing, and you talked about the military, and we talked about what kind of this alpha thing usually depicts. If you look at like the most elite military units, so say like Delta Force or whoever that might be, you would probably classify these dudes as alphas, right? I mean, that's pretty much a given. Yeah. Like these guys are alphas. But contradictory to what we've been talking about, these guys are not looking to be the show or to be the visible one. Yeah. They're actually looking for the opposite. They're looking to be not known, to get in and out, to make strikes, to make hits, and nobody even know who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like amongst the circles that they're in, that they're interacting with every day, they're peacocking, they're doing their thing, whatever.
Sure.
But on a big public scale, they're not. So to me, that's kind of a good blend of that alpha mentality, that strength, that leadership, that drive, but also not necessarily needing that public confirmation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We brought something up like this earlier, and it reminded me of something I said, and I'll say it again, where the most alpha man that I've ever come across, I never even met the guy.
Yeah.
And it was at this burger joint here in town, and Ozzy and Kimber were 2 and 3 years old, and it was fucking chaos. Like they were standing, we couldn't get them to sit. They're making all this noise. We had to go move to the corner. You know what I mean? At one point in time, Ozzy just stood up and yelled for fun, like, I'm like, sit down, and like, I don't want to be a mean dad, and so like I'm just kind of like letting it play out, but trying. Ashley's just sweating bullets, so we're trying our best. We go to get our bill, and the waitress kind of smiled at us and said, your check has been picked up, and she gave it to us, and a guy left us a note like, keep doing what you're doing. So I'm like, that's an alpha.
Yeah.
And to what you were saying, he didn't want any recognition. I don't even know who it was. I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
That's
it is for sure.
And that's just like leadership on a whole nother level in my mind.
100%.
Right.
Yeah. So I had been hearing about, and this is the last thing that I have, of like this blend. So I just Google searched,
what is the blend? What's the name?
So according to Google, it says, so the blend is a person who exhibits characteristics of both alpha and beta, rather than falling solely into one category. And they're calling it sigma, at least from what I've seen on here. So if anybody's an expert on this, feel free to let us know. But it says the blend can be seen as someone who can be a leader when necessary, but also comfortable taking a back seat and supporting others. They can be assertive and confident, but also kind and understanding. The descriptions, I think, are pretty generic. Like, that's pretty obvious. You can take the two extremes, and they're a blend of that.
I mean, who wouldn't want to be a sigma?
An example, it says a person who can lead a team effectively, but also listens to and values the opinions of others. Someone who's both assertive in their career, but also supportive and caring in their personal life is another example. So those kinds of things, you can kind of put that together and paint that picture. But that is something that exists and is being recognized. And honestly, I think that that's a lot more of the population rather than one or the other.
Sure.
Of course.
Yes, for sure.
Yep. And I see that term, and I actually hear that come up, sigmas. So that makes sense.
Do you think some people misdiagnose themselves? Like they think they're like an alpha and they're really a beta?
I think the way a lot of this has been painted, like, I think there's some people that will naturally do that because they think that's the cool thing to be. That's what I want to be. Yeah. Where they need to realize all of the pieces, what we're talking about here.
And I can speak for young men. I think all young men should and do go through it, where you fancy yourself an alpha, but in reality, maybe you're closer to a sigma. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, do you guys know the show Rick and Morty?
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I don't know it very well.
Joel watches it.
I love Rick and Morty. I was a
Okay, he
big
does
Rick and
too.
Morty fan, but it went off the air because they got in a legal battle with the network or whatever.
Oh.
But we turned our brother-in-law on it, and he watched a few, and he thought it was pretty funny. And he goes, Andy, you obviously think you're Rick. And Rick's this very pompous, smart, intelligent guy that's just always talking down to people, talking shit, letting people. And I'm like, no. Because a funny meme was going on saying that most people think that they're a Rick, but they're actually a Jerry. And Jerry is a total beta. Like, there's an episode about him being a beta.
Oh.
I'm like, no, I don't think I'm Rick. I think I'm Morty. And he stopped and thought about that, and Morty's a total blend. And he's like, you are so a Morty. So I was like, I felt kind of good. Like, yeah, see, I know where I am. I know where I am on the totem pole. I'm not that. I'm not Rick Cool. I'm not Rick Cool.
Well, now
but I'm not
to
Jerry
watch
either.
it.
I'm not a total beta. I'm Morty. I'm just a Morty.
Yeah.
Isn't it a little bit not risky, but it's not like he must be watching reruns then because he thinks it's kind of funny.
It's funny.
Yeah, I
hell.
guess.
So there's not new ones. Okay.
I don't know that. It went off the air a few years ago because they got in a legal
battle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's new? Legal
So-
battle.
Yeah.
Did you ever follow
I
up on
haven't
yours
heard anything about that.
on
Nope.
our
Should we?
Braille legal battle?
Oh yeah. What about that?
I've not heard a thing.
You didn't call Madden?
Nope. I'm just letting it ride. See if anything else pops up.
All right.
So in the end, the way I see it is we definitely need all of these, and too much alpha or too much beta as far as like your own personal way that you go about life is not good for
Our
sure.
populations. You don't want to in a population of people.
Right.
Yeah.
You do need a blend of that, but I don't think that like extreme in one way or the other is going to serve anybody well or serve the population well.
Yeah.
So yeah, be aware of it, man. Just
Yeah. And speaking
figure
from
out.
a woman's standpoint, I don't think we want one or the other either. I mean, I would think that, like I said earlier, a good blend is helpful in different situations. So
Ben's Morty too. He's a Morty, which I guess you could call a Sigma. I'm glad
Yeah.
we got that definition out there.
We got that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what we are now, I guess.
Yeah, we're so Sigma right
Oh
now.
my gosh, I feel so Sigma.
so Sigma.
I have heard
God.
our kids do say, "What the Sigma?"
What the Sigma?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, man. Today I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna get my gun. I'm gonna shoot the shit out of some stuff,
Oh, you're so pulling
and then I'm
alpha.
gonna come back inside and I'm
Eat
just
some
gonna
raw eggs.
yeah. But then I'm gonna tell Morgan how much I love her and like just like
boy. Yeah.
get her like a candy bar and probably some see like what movie she wants to watch tonight.
Right.
Like
Start massaging her feet.
Yeah, don't.
I like where you're going.
I'm not
there.
going that
That's- you're
far.
gonna take it
I'm not
back.
going that far. I'm not
Okay.
going full beta. I'm going.
Oh.
I'm going Sigma.
Okay. All right.
All right. So
Sigma.
hopefully you learned something from that. Let's close out with a little bit of barn owl. We've been doing. Again, we've talked about it on the podcast a couple times today. The turkey hunting. So we set up the barn owl camera in the woods where the cell signal is shit. So we're down there when we're sitting in the blind. You literally can't get on your phone. Like you get the SOS message on your phone.
Yeah.
So that's where the barn owl's set up. The barn owl is connected and it is sending pictures. Now, I can tell that it's not as consistent as the camera we have on the hill watching the road for surveillance. So it must be having some signals where it's coming in and out.
Yeah.
But like they said, these cameras get better signal than your phone will, and
Yeah.
they'll do a good job of getting out of places.
Yeah.
It's totally doing that. Also, the pictures that aren't getting out, there's a memory chip on there. So they're still going on the memory chip, but a lot of that is getting out and getting sent to my phone. I'm getting notifications when there's activity in the woods in front of this camera.
Right.
So the test that we've been doing, it is getting signal where we normally can't get signal, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. Also, it's in the woods surrounded by trees with the solar panel,
Yeah.
and the batteries are still 100%.
Wow.
So it's,
That's so crazy.
It's picking up enough sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only is that such a deep valley, there's a hell of a canopy above it too.
Right.
Yes.
So that's
Yep.
yeah.
So the camera's working. It's pretty cool. It's been neat to see some of the activity during the evening and during the day when we're not down there. So I've been happy with that so far. But basically, if you're looking for some type of surveillance camera or anything for your game or your livestock or whatever it is, check out barnowl.tech. If you use the code FARMFOCUSED, FOCUSED, all one word, you're going to get 10% off. We've partnered with Barn Owl. They're great folks so far, great devices. So do us a favor, check them out. barnowl.tech, code FARMFOCUSED, one word, 10% off.
Barn Owl's the Sigma of trail cameras.
So Sigma.
They're so Sigma right now. Security
Wait, do
cameras.
they want to be Sigma? Don't they want to be Alpha?
See what you're doing? See, because you think what? Because you think Alpha's better? See?
Because they're big and macho.
See?
Oh my God, we just spent an hour telling you why Sigma is the best.
It is. They're a blend,
We
but
can't get it out of their heads. It's ingrained in their heads.
No, I'm thinking of they have it. It's a. Oh yeah, we do want the package of Sigma.
Yeah.
I just was
we want
thinking
the best of all worlds.
I get it. I was thinking of okay.
Gentlemen, you are doomed.
Yeah, we are.
Just forget everything we talked about. If you want to if you're trying to pick up a girl, just make sure you're straight alpha.
Yep. More creatine for breakfast, lunch, and supper. Work out 4 times a day. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
God, so sorry.
I don't even know if I'm going to release this episode. All right, you guys got anything else?
No.
All right,
Peace.
let's close it down.
Later.
See ya.